Welcome into SBR closing line for June 1st. Welcome to June. We got Ski Profit, we got Ian Cameron, we got myself, Drew Martin, breaking down the NBA finals, closing line style. We're also going to throw in some all sports, some MLB, maybe some WNBA. We'll see how it goes. But without further ado, Ian Cameron on Twitter at Babano. Welcome to the show. How you doing this morning, buddy?
One of my favorite shows, Saturday and Sunday with you, Drew, and Ski Profit. Looking forward to it, breaking down the sports weekend. Yeah, we'll focus on the NBA Finals, of course, Game 2 on Sunday night, but we'll throw in a little MLB, a little WNBA, maybe a little CFL preseason as well. There's a little angle that might be worth talking about with that, so looking forward to the show.
I left out the CFL. Absolutely. CFL season is here, almost here, but preseason's here. Ian, so does that mean we're getting you on Saturdays and Sundays now?
Oh, of course. I'm full-time now.
Full-time gig for you. All right. And Ski Profit on Twitter at Ski Profit, one of the best follows out there, knows the NBA very, very well, as good as anybody, and knows a lot of sports, a lot about sports betting. Ski, welcome in from Los Angeles.
What's going on, guys? It's one of my favorite shows to do as well. I definitely love hanging out with you guys and talking sports. I'm looking to get into this one. I was wrong on game 1. Golden State took a spanking. So let's see how we can get to it in game 2.
Yeah, Ski, I was wrong as well, and I kind of followed your lead on that. But hey, it was surprising, man, the way that the game went. I think that this whole NBA Finals, what's going on here with the odds makers, with the betting markets putting out these numbers, mainly from a side perspective, is very interesting, Ski. I thought it was very surprising to see Toronto be the favorite in game 1. We're seeing him here in game 2 as the favorite, even a heavier favorite. The series price is down, from minus 240 to now is as low as minus 140. I've seen it. I think that, just this overall view of this betting market and where the odds makers are pricing this at, I find it very interesting. What are your overall thoughts on, this game 2 number being Toronto favored? And also, what would the difference be if this was in Golden State, in your opinion? Where do you think we'd see this number at?
Well, I mean, my opinion on the number as it is right now, I mean, we just saw Toronto take care of business and they're at home again. So I'm not really surprised by the number. I mean, I understand why people backed Toronto in game 1. So I can see why they would back them again in game 2. I can see why the spread is going. They said KD is still not playing. That moved the spread a little bit more. Iguodala could be a little bit hurt. He looked like he was grimacing a little bit at the end. So that could be possibly affecting the spread. So, I mean, I understand the spread. If it was in Golden State, I mean, I would expect with no KD as it is right now, I would expect Golden State to be favored by probably 4 points.
Okay, so a 6-ish point move. And Ian, what about you? What is your overall feel of this number? And do you agree with Ski that it would be about that big of a move from I guess location to location?
Yeah, I think the thing that is making this or holding this line in place, or not really even holding the line in place, but even some, we've seen a little bit of money trickle in on Toronto. 1s and 1.5s initially, now up to 2. I think it's the fact that from a Raptors standpoint, it's pretty important they win game 2, just like it was game 1. I mean, usually you say, okay, if we split at home, it's not the end of the world in a 7-game series. This is a big problem for the Toronto Raptors, I think, if this series goes to Oracle Arena for game 3, 1-1 instead of 2-0, especially with the specter of Kevin Durant lurking in the backgrounds. And I'm sick and tired of all these conflicting reports that are floating around about, oh, is he back game 3? Oh, he's maybe likely back game 4. And then there's still some people that know the severity of a calf injury quite well, that have had that kind of injury before, former players saying that they wouldn't be surprised if they don't see Kevin Durant at all in this series. So who the hell knows at this point? But what we do know is there's at least a chance we might see Durant in game 3 or 4. So if you're Toronto, you don't want to piss these games away early in the series. You're especially defending home court. Very, very important. Golden State is going to be a lot better. That you would think that in theory in game 2, clean up a lot of the mistakes they had. I thought it was too heavily reliant on Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in game 1. There wasn't a lot of support for them. Whereas for Kawhi Leonard, that was not Kawhi Leonard's A game. And I think you have to give Golden State credit. They trapped him, double teams, threw that consistently at him in the game, forced other players on that Toronto Raptors team to beat them. And they did, namely, of course, Pascal Siakam, who certainly proved Spicy P that he was not in fear of the limelight. I mean, 32 points, incredible performance for him. Best player on the court in game one. But obviously, Golden State's now, if they didn't know who Pascal Siakam was before, they do now. You expect them to make adjustments. Steve Kerr ripped their transition defense. Draymond Green ripped their transition defense in the post-game comments after game one, and it's true. I mean, they were just beaten down the court and out-hustled throughout that basketball game, really. I mean, Toronto was just lobbing it, like a quarterback to a receiver for a touchdown pass, and there was no defender there to stop them. It's like a cornerback that blows an assignment. That they blew multiple assignments, Golden State, in their transition defense all night long. So you would think they're going to try to correct that here. Kind of makes me think that after game one went over the total, Golden State, believe it or not, wants to force Toronto more in half-court situations. This may be a good look toward the under in game two, potentially, especially because now the total's gone up from where it was in game one. It's now 215 you're looking at here for the total in game number two. For me, I'm going to stick with the two bets I had in game one. I took Toronto in the first quarter and the first half. I'm going to go with those two again. And I think it is vital for Toronto. They're not stupid. They know it. They've talked about it. We're not satisfied. No let up. We got to try to win this home game. First quarter and first half is where I'm going to go with Toronto in game two. And again, I'm dare Golden State to show me a good first quarter and a good first half. Because guess what? Game 2, 3, and 4 against Portland, even though they won those games, they didn't play good in the first quarter. They didn't play good in the first half. This has been a consistent trend with Golden State, starting slow, and it might happen again here. I don't know if Toronto wins the game. This could be a game where Golden State does start slow, but then they track down Toronto in the fourth quarter and maybe get this one at the end. I'm not willing to bet it either way and chance it. So for me, I'm just going to stick with the first quarter, first half on Toronto in game two, which is the same way I looked in game one.
All righty. And guys in the chat box, welcome in. We got Bada Bing, Yo-Yo, Walla Walla Dose, welcome in. I'll get you next week. What is up? Shadow, Dave Schillinger, welcome in. D-Bash 3, how's it going? Bricker Overland, got to get some WNBA breakdowns from my boy Ski. We'll have WNBA a slot for it both today and tomorrow on the show. Peter Russell in the house, Molly Mall, James, Ralph Portuando, welcome in. Eli Bulldog in the house as well. Guys, let us know what you're looking to bet in this NBA Finals. Also, the MLB betting boards for today. Anything kind of tickling your fancy out there? Any best bets? Feel free to market it however you like. We love to shout it out to all the watchers here. And please give us a thumbs up, the like button as well. We're here 11 a.m. Saturdays and Sundays in the weekend. Ski Prophet, Ian Cameron, and myself. So, Ski, want to come to you with something Ian said about the total. What we've had about a 3-point move towards the over, 212 to about 215 now. In both of these two teams, pace-wise, in the top half of the NBA throughout the full season, we saw it in game one as it goes over, and Toronto wins as the favorite at home. Do you have any opinion here on this total as far as would you look to it like Ian as far as maybe falling short this time in game two with the defensive adjustments?
Ian made a lot of great points. And one point he made in particular as far as that is transition defense for Golden State. I think that was their main problem, especially like it was time that they were down by maybe like 3. Quinn Cook shoots a 3, and after that, they just go down and get an easy bucket and no transition defense. And another play after that is back to 7-point game. So I think they'll have a better focus on defense. But at the same time, I think Golden State wants to play at a fast pace and go score before Toronto's defense gets set, because you don't want to play Toronto's defense once they get set. I mean, it's a great defense. And we saw they struggled with it this past game. And also made other great points. What I saw from as far as offense in Golden State and what I think needs to change, they kind of tried to run the Steph and Draymond Green pick and roll, and that worked against Houston. It worked against Portland. Houston, they were guarding Iguodala. They were following him around the court. So when you have Iguodala over here, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Looney wherever, now Toronto, they're not paying Iguodala any mind. they're just acting like he's not even a player over there. They're putting another defender, having a foot in the paint, and Marcus Gasol is able to step over and step up on Steph Curry off the screen. And that disrupted Golden State because they didn't have enough shooting. And what Curry needs to do is adjust and put he needs to give McKinney more minutes. He needs to give Quentin Cook more minutes. He needs to give Jerebko more minutes. And he can't play Iguodala and Draymond together unless you have Clay and Steph on the court. And in the second half, we saw Steph make that adjustment and start coming off the screen harder and attacking off the screen. And when he started doing that, he started to get fouled time after time and time. So I think Golden State will make adjustments. I think they'll figure it out. As far as the pace, it's tough for me because I know Golden State wants to push the pace, and I think Toronto wants to play slower. I would have a slight lean to the under at 215 just because I know Golden State should have a better focus on defense, and I know Toronto's a great defensive team.
Okay, so in agreement in a lot of it on the total there. Ian, is there anything you want to follow up here?
Yeah, and it's because it's got that feel of an adjustment series. In the finals, I'm always looking at opposite what happened the last game in a lot of cases, especially with totals. If a game goes over the last game, you know you're going to get a bump in the total, and you'd see that again here in game two. And I think and you try to make cases for the under, which I have, and that would be the only way I'd go with the total here in game number two. A little bit of an interesting thing. We know, Cousins is you're almost at the point now where with DeMarcus Cousins, you're better off not playing him at all. Really at this point, like he was totally ineffective the other game. He's just coming back from a long injury, and the intensity and pace of the NBA Finals series, that's not easy, and he was not effective at all. Andre Iguodala is supposed to be fine for Golden State here for game two. He came up limping a little bit late in game one, but Steve Kerr expects him to be okay. For Toronto, we might be seeing a guy that we have not seen these entire playoffs back for them in game two, albeit I don't know how much he's going to play. OG Anunoby, remember him? There's a chance he is going to be active here for game two for the Toronto Raptors. And, offensively, he's hit or miss. He's come and go. He has some nights he'll produce offensively and be able to get that shot going. On others, he won't. But his main contribution and impact positively to this Raptors team is on the defensive end of the basketball court. He's a very good defender. He's another guy with size and length. He's another disruptor to some of these Golden State, shooters that they can throw at you. So OG Anunoby coming back, even if he plays limited minutes, it's just another solid defender, another guy that can rebound the basketball as well, get you some boards in the paint. Just another guy that Nick Nurse has at his disposal. So again, it'll be interesting to see how he works OG into the rotation. This is a Raptors team. Let's be honest, the last 4 games they've played quite well. They're going to be careful with him. Number one, and number two, if he does get some decent minutes, is he going to be able to just slide right in there and play at a high level? We saw DeMarcus Cousins struggle with that in game one for Golden State. So just an interesting little subplot there that OG is going to be available to the Raptors team, and from a defensive standpoint, it's another guy that they can throw at Golden State.
Absolutely, man. We got Walla in here. Red Girl, good morning. Welcome in from South Florida. Eric Jones in the house as well. Bricker Overland. I like those picks, Ian. Going to hop on that. Talking UFC here. And Ron in with the Greyhound play of the day. The Tampa Bay Rays on the first 5 innings. Plus 125. Also, Chris in here with a stat. Pittsburgh Pirates. The over is 22-5-2 in their last 27 games. Love the parlay. Milwaukee Brewers in the over on that game. Pittsburgh Pirates trending to the over 22-5 last 27. Guys, let's talk one more segment here on the NBA Finals, and then we can kind of open it up to the rest of kind of the sports betting world here. I mean, we got so much going on even for May. We got the CFL starting up, UFC, WNBA, Ski Profits on a nice run there. Heck, college football isn't too far away, so we can throw in a bunch here, guys. Feel free to throw out in the chat box what's on your mind in sports betting. Ski, throw it to you, man. As far as the NBA Finals tomorrow, we'll be able to talk more about it tomorrow's show at 11 a.m. Sunday here. 11 a.m. Eastern. But Ski, anything else you want to throw out, kind of overall thoughts on what you're looking to bet? Keeping in mind we can keep best bets towards the end of the show.
How I'm looking, honestly, the total, I've been having great success with totals lately, but I like to bet totals more the day of. As as of right now, I kind of do agree and lean more towards the under. I think majority of people, after seeing the first game, they may bet the over, and I wouldn't want to be with majority of people. And Toronto's went under 13 of the last 19, under 25 and 14, the last 39 without Katie with Steph. Golden State, as I did say last time, plays towards the over on the road. Toronto plays, they score more points at home, but we think it'll be more of a defensive battle. So I'm just leaning on that. And as far as the series price, a lot of people ask me what I think about the series price. And it's minus 150, minus 140, somewhere around there. And Golden State is underdogs right now on this game. So, I mean, if you think they're going to win the series, if you don't think they're going to win this game, you might as well wait. But if you think they're going to win this game, you're going to get plus money rather than minus 140. Whereas, I don't know. I just think if you're going to bet the series, you should wait. Or if you think they're going to win this game, just bet the game.
Yeah,
because it's more value.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ski. And I was one of those people on Twitter at Drew Martin Bet, Ski Profit on Twitter at Ski Profit. I asked the question to you because I was interested in the series price. You can get it minus 140 now that I've seen the lowest, the lowest price on Golden State, but you brought up the fact they're underdogs, so put a unit on that. If you like it right now on game 2, you probably get more bang for your buck. But if they do lose, if they do win game 2, Ski, the other side of it is, that price is going to go from minus 140. Heck, it might go all the way back up to minus 235, minus 240, what we saw it earlier, right? I think you're on mute, Ski.
My bad. But that is true. That's true. And I mean, that's why if you're going to place the series bet, you do your homework. If you expect them to win this game, if you're betting the series right now because you expect them to win this game right now, then I mean, I understand. If you're just saying, hey, you think they're going to win the series? Do I think Golden State's going to win the series? Yeah. I'm just saying from a value perspective, getting the best of the number. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I followed your lead. I bet Golden State as well, both game 2 and series price, just to kind of get best of both worlds. But Ian, hey, let's get your thoughts on the series price, betting them game 2. It sounds like you were leaning towards Toronto maybe, but a little unsure. And any final thoughts here on the NBA Finals game?
Yeah, you know what? I'm staying off the series price tomorrow because I think tomorrow's game is literally a coin flip because Golden State's going to play a lot better, but I think Toronto's not going to fall asleep at the wheel either just because they won game 1. I think that they truly, everything I've heard from players, from Nick Nurse, the last couple days after game 1, they've said we got to win this one too. Like, it is imperative. We got to defend home court. They know it's not going to be easy to win in Oracle. They know Kevin Durant could still return later in this series. You don't want to be in a situation where you're maybe 2-2 or 3-1 down, with Kevin Durant returning or already returned, then maybe have the security of being up 2-0 going back there. And even if you lose 2-2 and Durant's back, you're a best of 3 and you've still got home court advantage. So that's why this game is important, especially because there's still a chance now that Kevin Durant returns. So I think Toronto brings it as well. What I'm going to do is, though, wait. I'm going to wait one more game before maybe I look at Golden State in the series. I'm going to see if they lose game 2. And then if they do, I think prior to game 3 is probably when you're going to want to jump on the Warriors at an adjusted series price, if that's the way you're thinking and that's the way you're looking, because I really do think there's a chance this series could go back to Oakland 2-0, and to see it be 2-2 and then hold serve at home would not surprise me. So we'll see. Tomorrow's game is fascinating. Like, to me, I think Toronto comes out strong. That's why I like them first quarter and first half. And by the way, Golden State has been trailing in the first half in 7 of the last 8 games. So they have had some issues now. This team in the first half. I mean, slow starts, especially on the road, it's been worse. The first two road games in Houston in the second round, they were down at halftime. Game 1 of this series, down at halftime. So this road slow starts for them have been consistent. They've been repetitive. And, until they show me that changes, that's why I don't mind taking Toronto first quarter, first half tomorrow night one more time.
I have to challenge that a little bit, Ian, just because I understand the first half, but on the first quarter, Golden State, they're 8-3 last 11 first quarters. So they're coming out strong with that first unit, and the fall off is in the second quarter with the second unit.
Yep. Yeah, no, first quarters, the first quarter stats definitely right. They're better than the first half. But the first half's the one I noticed that was really glaring, where they've been down at halftime quite a bit. So again, that first unit, it speaks to, of course, the step up in class here. They're dealing with Toronto. You can maybe have a tougher time getting out to that quick start here. And let's not forget too that now you're starting the series on the road for the first time here, like Golden State is. So not as easy in a raucous environment. And by the way, speaking of the raucous environment, Michael Wilbon, of course, for ESPN, has covered the finals since 1986 as a reporter in Chicago, columnist there, and then later for ESPN. So he's been in the building for NBA Finals games for the last 33 years, since 1986. So when he says something along the lines of, Game 1 the other night in Toronto was one of the loudest, most unbelievably electric, emotional, passionate environments and atmospheres that I've ever been in covering an NBA Finals game and an NBA Finals series, that's saying something. That tells you how jacked up that crowd was the other night in Toronto. So when Wilbon says something like that, and he's been around the finals for, think about it. He was there when Bird and Magic were dueling in the 80s, those great Lakers-Celtic NBA finals, the Michael Jordan dynasty era in the 90s with the Bulls, Kobe and Shaq with the Lakers, the Miami Heat super team with Bosh, Wade, and LeBron. I mean, go on down the list. He's been there and seen it all, Michael Wilbon, and been in the building. He says that Toronto in Game 1 was one of the loudest atmospheres he's ever heard for an NBA Finals. That's bravo, Toronto, for making him think that way.
Yeah, good breakdown, Ian, for sure. We got guys in the chat box asking about WNBA. We got Ian Cameron, great breakdown there on Twitter at Babano. I'm Drew Martin on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. And we got questions here for you from Greatest Ever. We got Ski, what you like in WNBA, and at Ski Profit on Twitter. He's throwing out WNBA, on there and doing very well from what I can see, Ski. So are you seeing anything on the WNBA card today that you want to throw out?
I'm looking at the card, and I will say some days it's plays I like ahead of time before the lines are even out, and other days I need a little time. Today's a day I need a little time, but I'll go over the games. I will say, though, for tomorrow's game, the line is not out. And another thing, Bookmaker, I'm noticing Bookmaker puts the lines out first for WNBA. They put it out before Pinnacle. They put it out before Bet Online. They put it out before everybody that I'm looking at. Like, I saw the total yesterday on the game I bet on. It was 155 at Bookmaker, opening line. It was open nowhere else until 160. It hit 161.5. Then it's at everywhere at 161.5. That's when I bet it at 161.5. And then it shoots up still to 165. So the lines in WNBA are crazy. If you can get in early, which I see bookmakers posting the lines first, that's where you want to go. And today, I didn't see one right away from like overnight. Tomorrow, I do like the over when it comes out. If it's going to be around the 160 range with the Sun and the Aces, if it's not more than 165, I'm going to be taking the over. As far as today, the Dreamer on the back-to-back, I think they'll be a little bit tired here. They're averaging 71 through the first two games. They shot 27% from three, 69% from free throw. They're 4-11. Their last 15 games on 0 rest. It's Washington's opening night. I heard Elena Del Don, she could possibly play today. So I'm kind of looking for more info on that. Washington shot 14% from three in their first game, so I'm expecting a much better performance here. They shot 80% from free throw. They're 6-2 against it in this game or a pass. There's no way, really. I don't think I could be on the Dream. I would be also on the it's went under 10 of the last 13 times these teams have played, and Dream haven't been putting up much points. Dream haven't been looking too well, so I would maybe lean on the total. I don't have any plays yet. And as far as the New York Liberty and Fever game, it's already a revenge game this early in the season. It's the only game that Liberty have played was versus the Fever, and they lost on the last second tip in. I didn't see much effort or much energy from the Liberty in the first game. It was kind of just Tina Charles doing everything. She had 32 points. Fever couldn't stop her at all, but Liberty didn't want to play defense. This went over 8 of the last 12 for the Liberty, over 4 of the last 5 for the Fever. Erica Wheeler for the Fever has been awesome. She might lead the league in scoring, but she's been doing great at the point spot. Liberty, they're 0-8, last 8 away, 0-6, last 6 versus the East. But with this being a revenge game this early in the season, the only game they played was versus the Fever. The Fever played an extra game. I think the Liberty come out strong and getting 3.5 points and pretty much like almost a toss-up game. I would take the points and I would lean on maybe more points to be scored because the game went over last game and it was pretty much no defense. So I'm expecting more of the same. I don't think they can stop Tina Charles. So I would lean Liberty and over in that game. The other game I don't have that much on, but Lynx look pretty good, like maybe the best team throughout the start of the WNBA season. They played both games at home, though. They're on the road here. The Wings, without a couple of their best players, they're 0-4-1 against the spread last 5 home games, 0-3-1 last 4 versus the West, 3-12-1 against the spread last 16. It'll be Lynx or pass for me. I don't have anything on the total there. And the last game on the card is the Storm and the Chicago Sky. Storm, the last game, they just won their last game last night. But the game before, they kind of looked pretty pitiful. And the game before that, it was kind of like showing the league that they're not a pushover. They want to be a team that everybody's not going to look over just because they're missing Sue Bird and they're missing Brianna Stewart. So, Jordan Canada and the rest of everybody else was doing a pretty good job. The 2 games they won, they're 11-4, last 15 road games, 10-4-1, last 15 versus the East, 5-2 against the spread, last 7, 4-0, last 4 versus Chicago Sky. It will be the Storm or pass. They are coming off a back-to-back, but it will still be Storm or pass for me.
Ski, good breakdown, man. I'm trying to follow along with everything you're saying.
As far as I jumped on that total last night, Las Vegas and Phoenix Mercury. That was as easy as it gets, and that's why I tweeted it out. I'm like, I got to bet on some WNBA. I know this is a guy that knows it, and was a good winner. Hey, and I'm no WNBA aficionado, and even I recognized even before he sent out that total that this Las Vegas team gets in a lot of high-scoring games. This Aces team, I've been noticing that just the first few games they've played. So not a surprise to see him like an over in that one.
And Ian, on that note, when you look at tomorrow's game, if you check the opening line, you already say you notice how the Aces play. From what I see, the Sun, the team they remind me of, if I have to compare them to the NBA, I want to say the Rockets. I feel like they're a team that's just going to put up a lot of points. So, when they play teams that are better, that play defense, like the Sparks last night, it was more of a defensive game. But in a game like where they want to run, they're going to put up points.
Yeah, they shoot a lot of threes probably too, yeah.
Yep.
Ski, as far as breaking down the NBA, and obviously you're doing very good at it. Are you actually sitting at home and watching all these games, or are you just kind of reading about it or watching the market? How are you doing your handicapping kind of process here in the WNBA?
Well, I do watch all of the games. I have, the WNBA app. It's only like $17 for the whole year, and I have it on the cable channels when I can watch it. I watch multiple games if I can at a time. I do look up the stats. I keep track of stats by myself, and that's kind of how I do it. I love to watch basketball, so it doesn't matter if it's ladies or men. So I watch it.
Cool. So you're viewing this as kind of still the NBA season. It's full blown at nighttime. You're in front on your couch or however you're doing it, watching multiple screens and watching WNBA every night.
Yeah, last night I didn't have both screens on, but I was flipping back and forth between the Aces and Mercury and Sparks and Sun.
Good stuff, man. And so you're looking towards the overs in WNBAs, or are you kind of leaning towards one bet over another here?
You mean in general?
Yeah.
In general, I've actually had more success with unders early on. It's only been like a couple teams have went over, but I know the Aces, like Ian said, are a team that plays fast and goes over. They didn't go over the first game, but they went over the last game. And so unders have pretty much been prevailing, but it's just certain matchups that I find. Like I see 2 teams playing and it just kind of clicks for me. Like I've had success on 4-0 in totals in WNBA. And today I looked at the card and it wasn't a total that jumped out at me. So I need a little more time. Sometimes they do jump out at me.
All right. Well, follow him on Twitter at Ski Prophet. He's seen it well in the WNBA as well as the NBA. So give him a follow on Twitter. Ian, like you were saying in the chat box, me and you are not so much the WNBA sharps here, but I know I consider you a sharp in the CFL. Also, guys asking what Red Girl's top play is. So, Red Girl, if you're out there, let us know what your top play is. But Ian, CFL wise, you want to have at it stuff you're seeing, and are you betting the preseason in the CFL?
I'm betting it small, the preseason, no question. There's only one preseason game tonight. It involves my Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're on the road against the Ottawa Red Blacks. And one of the things that I've noticed, it's pretty easy to spot with just the way the first 6 preseason games have gone so far, is that home teams are crushing it. Home teams are 6-0 straight up, 6-0 against the spread in 6 CFL preseason games so far. And it's pretty easy to understand why. The CFL only has 2 preseason games for each team. They play 1 home game, 1 road game in the preseason. So just 2, which is good. Hello, NFL. Hello. Get with it. We need less preseason from you. 4 weeks is 4 games is way too much. It's ridiculous that it goes on that long. Shorten it down like this. 2 games, perfect amount. But yeah, that's the way the CFL does it. 2 preseason games, 1 home, 1 road. So what a lot of these teams do is they save all their starters for the home game, the home preseason game, because they want to put on a show for the fans. We want to save our starters for the fans, give them something to want, give them a reason to want to come out and watch a preseason game. So a lot of these games, the home team has all their starters in, or most of their starters in, and the road team has barely any of their starters in. And we're seeing the advantage it's providing for the home teams here in the preseason. They're 6-0, both straight up and against the spread. Again, last night, another 2-0 sweep for home teams. Winnipeg won at home against Edmonton, 22-7. Calgary blew out Saskatchewan, 37-1 in their home game in the preseason. And again, both of those teams had more starters than the road team. And same thing tonight. I mean, Ottawa's going to have a lot of their starters in tonight. Hamilton, not so much. You're not going to see Jeremiah Masoli, their number 1 quarterback. Dane Evans is going to get most of the playing time here for Hamilton tonight, former Tulsa quarterback. He had a nice little career there. In fact, they're probably wishing he was back because the quarterback play sucked after he left, but that's another story. But yeah, I mean, Hamilton's got a more inexperienced group. Ottawa's got a lot of their starters in. Ottawa's at home. Probably got to look at Ottawa. I have not seen any lines pop up yet. These CFL preseason lines usually pop up or get released the afternoon of the game, so we're not quite there yet, but could only look at Ottawa the way it's gone here in the preseason. They're the home team. They're going to have more starters in the game. And again, the home teams are 6-0 so far. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And yeah, that's a good point of when they're putting out the lines, both sides and totals. And just what Ski was saying about the WNBA, Bookmaker is the sole line releaser of WNBA totals for, it sounds like, multiple hours. And I just went on my bet online, and it looks like they're taking $550 bets on the total. So Ski, that's a pretty limited market there with just one sports book putting out WNBA totals. And you brought up one example where it moved 10 points. I mean, the only other market I've seen that in is college basketball totals in like the month of November. Those things will move 5-10 points sometimes, and you can just tell by the movement and by the max bet that these sports books will take. On an NFL side, you could put $10,000 down, if not more, at some sports books. WNBA totals only $500. You can tell where they have exposure, where they're not confident in. Do you see it that way? And anything you want to add to that?
I definitely agree with what you said, Drew. And like I said before, it's not that many people who actually watch WNBA and actually know all of the stuff. So majority of the people who really bet it know what they're doing. So that's why the lines move so crazy and so fast. And it's not like a one-time thing. Like today, I was looking at the Seattle and Chicago game. It was open at Bookmaker for a while, only at Bookmaker, 165. Then it dropped down. It continued to drop at Bookmaker. It went down to 162 and went down to 161. Then it went down to 160. Then when it got to 160, it opened everywhere else. And now it's down to 158. So it's already 7-point move, and it hasn't even been 2 hours, I think, since the lines have been out. It's been maybe 2 hours.
Okay, interesting there, man. And we'll talk the MLB betting board for today, but first want to throw it to Ian Cameron on Twitter, @Babano. Did you want to throw anything out, Ian, as far as UFC? I saw you talking it in the chat box.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously it's already ongoing. I've got it on the television here, but yeah, the prelim fights are going on right now. The main card starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Uh, in terms of the main card, we'll focus on that. I like Damir Hadzovic against Christos Yagos. He's about minus 170 right now. And again, this is a sport where I don't mind laying prices a little bit more than I do. Like I'm a lot more reluctant to lay minus 170s in baseball and hockey and some of the other sports. And UFC, I don't mind it because sometimes, hey, if you feel a strong opinion and a strong conviction on a certain fighter and matchup, you go with it. So I'm on Hadzovic. I'm on Sung Bin Jo, minus 150 against Daniel Tamor. That's a main card fight as well. And I've also got Chris Fishgold at about even money against Makwan Amirkhani. And as well looking at a parlay with Gustafson in the main event against Anthony Lionheart Smith, along with Alexander Rakic against Jimmy Manoa. We've parlayed Rakic and Gustafson, and that pays out about minus 130, I believe, parlaying those two together. So in terms of the UFC, that's what I got.
All right, good stuff, Ian. Ski, Ian, myself, we're all kind of handicapping MLB as well, so we can open it up here. Ian, I'll come right back at you on the MLB board today. Is there anything that you're looking at betting or anything you've placed yet?
Yeah, totals wise, we're on two totals, two overs in day game action. We've got the over in the Cleveland Chicago game, which is going up and up and up as we speak. I mean, that thing was 9.5, 10.5 now, and you can see why. Jeffrey Rodriguez, this guy, we were waiting for this ticking time bomb to finally explode for Cleveland, and he has in his last few starts. This is not a guy that's got any sort of long-term viable starting pitching future. For, in my opinion, he was pitching just well enough to get by early on, but now regression has hit this guy big time. He's been hit hard in his last several starts. And then you've got Ivan Nova on the other side for the Chicago White Sox, and he is not a guy I trust. He's been really smacked around here in this ballpark. He's not pitched well at the Cell most of the season. You always worry a little bit with Cleveland. Their lineup, I mean, their lineup really was paltry last night against Covey, so which was a surprise. But I think they're going to get it going today against Nova, and I think the White Sox, whose offense has really been good. This White Sox lineup's pounding the ball right now. Abreu, Moncada, Tim Anderson. There's a lot of good bats that are feeling it right now in this White Sox lineup. They're hitting the ball, playing good offensively. So I think we get runs in that game. It's obviously going to be warm weather in Chicago. And also on the Kansas City, Texas, over the total as well with Homer Bailey against Lance Lynn for the Texas Rangers. Lance Lynn has had some struggles against Kansas City in the past. He's been up, he's been down. He's actually been solid, but I think it's a tricky matchup for him. And Bailey against Texas, he has not been good at all historically against the Rangers. He's not a guy I trust. I know he's coming off a decent outing, but the weather precludes it from being a great setting for both guys. Very warm weather down there today in Texas, 10.5 the total. So looking at that one as well in terms of being a higher scoring affair. And I'm going to look at the Angels probably as well against the Seattle Mariners. I know lefties are sometimes a problem for them, and they face one in Tommy Milone, but Tommy Milone is a weak lefty. He is not a big-time lefty pitcher. There should be room for the Angels to hit this guy. Andrew Heaney, on the other hand, I think he's still got a little bit of upside. He's had some injury problems for sure. He's been on the IL a bit, but cheap price, in my opinion, to back the Angels. I know Seattle beat them last night, but they had to hang on for dear life. The Angels had the bases loaded, 2 out in the 8th inning, down 4-3. They just couldn't get that big hit. They had to survive and hang on for dear life to win that game. You talk about Seattle right now. They're still a bet against group for me. They've been playing horrible baseball for a long time. That's a reasonable price there, I think, to back the Angels, about minus 120.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And Tommy Milone, man, it's amazing he's still in MLB. And you kind of look like him, man. If you were a lefty, put on a ball cap, you could go out there and maybe, toss a couple innings, give up a couple runs.
Yeah, I saw Luke Maile of the Blue Jays recently throwing an inning in the 9th inning because they wanted to save the bullpen. The bullpen was gassed. The bullpen was taxed. They were getting blown out. So they put a position player in there to throw pitches. If Luke Maile can throw pitches at the major league level and pitch, I can. So, yeah, give me a shot. Give me a call here. I'm waiting.
Guys, would you take over or under on Ian Cameron throwing 60 miles an hour? Ian, what do you think?
That's probably right around where I top out. Actually, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good guess on your part, Drew. That's probably where I top out, and I'd say 50-60. So you're right around the up. You're in the ballpark. No pun intended.
I love you, Ian, but I don't know. I might be on the under.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60's pretty fast. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I'm the one guy. I'm the one guy that would blow out his shoulder throwing 60 miles an hour. Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff, guys. Let us know what you're thinking on that. Under money, over money, 58 on the dot, calling it from Bricker. Yeah, I'm taking the under as well, Ian. I don't see it. Hey, MLB, what I'm looking at, we got Boston, New York, Porcello versus German. I kind of like German and the Yankees. You know, I'm not wanting to step in front of them anytime soon. So minus 116 price, looking towards the Yankees there. Also, Toronto, Colorado, John Gray on the hill. I'm a big fan of John Gray, the big Oklahoma kid from Oklahoma, throws hard, minus 150, and you can see why. Colorado's lineup is smashing the ball right now at home, going against Stroman. Heavy slider usage, hard slider usage in Coors Field. The thin air doesn't tend to go well. The ball doesn't move nearly as well, so it doesn't cut as well. So I like that. Even though you're having to lay minus 150, I think I agree with the reason why. Minus 148 at Bet Online. Houston, Oakland, looking towards the under. Houston's banged up. Their lineup, we saw it last night. I was on the under. It's a big ballpark. Their power isn't as good. Seeing 7.5 now with Verlander on the hill, like in the under there. Even though they smashed lefties their full season, that lineup's pretty banged up. So I would look towards the under there. Ski, throw it to you in MLB. Anything that you're looking to bet today?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Ian on one look today, and that's Homer Bailey Day. You got to find some kind of way to fade Homer Bailey, in my opinion. And another team that I've been kind of tuned into and looking into is the Texas team. I've been looking. I mean, they went under 14 and 13 at home. Kansas City, they've been going under. They're under 4 of the last 5 games. Texas under 10 of the last 14 games. But I've been picking the overs. I mean, they don't have a great bullpen. Kansas City doesn't have a great bullpen. 29th and 26th. OPS, Texas is 5th. Kansas City is 20th. But Texas, they're great against righties. Kansas City, they're decent against righties. And I just think the bullpen will give it up here. I mean, Homer Bailey Day, if I'm looking to bet any of these plays, the one that's most appealing to me is the over in this game. I think if Homer Bailey's not giving it up, either bullpen could give it up, and I would bank on Texas hitting Kansas City. I think Texas will win, and I think it's a high-scoring game. I have a question for you guys just about this Detroit and Atlanta game maybe. It's Norris and Soroka. This stat right here, I kind of wrote it down on Wednesday. I didn't really keep up since then, but as of Wednesday, Detroit was averaging 3.5 runs away. And they're 28th versus right-handed pitchers. They're 28th OPS. Soroka's been pretty good. He's 5-1 with a 1.07 ERA. I mean, I kind of think even with the terrible bullpen from Detroit, it could possibly be an under game.
Yeah, I
don't think Detroit's going to hit Atlanta.
I don't argue with that. I like Soroka a lot. Soroka's a bet-on pitcher for me all the way, and it's got nothing to do with he's Canadian. I don't want to hear that nonsense I've heard on Twitter. I only like him because he's Canadian. Oh, you're only giving him praise because he's Canadian. He's a good pitcher. That's why you give him praise, and he's pitching well for the Braves right now. I mean, 1.07 ERA. He's given up 6 earned runs in 50.2 innings. I'd say that's pretty good. How about 2 earned runs in 18 home innings? There at SunTrust Park. That's pretty good too. So yeah, he should be able to mow along this Detroit lineup. This Detroit lineup's nothing special. They did break out last night, but that was against Fulton-Nevich. By the way, Fulton-Nevich has been disappointing for the Braves. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with him, but it's been a really bad, rough season for him, for a guy that had some promise a little earlier on in his career. I don't know if he's going to figure it out, but to see him get absolutely crushed by a pedestrian Detroit lineup last night, not a good sign. Soroka's been great. The Braves against lefties, 263 and 5.1 runs per game. That should bode well against Norris. Maybe you do a Detroit team total under. Maybe you do an Atlanta team total over. But that full game could stay under. It really could, because Soroka, I don't think Detroit is going to go for more than maybe 1, 2, 3 runs at most. Absolute most. Soroka's been pitching really well.
Yeah, so Soroka is a good pitcher, top line pitcher in MLB ski. I like that side. She have to lay so much. I haven't been involved with Norris too much, and I haven't broken this game down, so don't have too much of an opinion on Norris versus the Detroit lineup. But yeah, off of first glance, I wouldn't talk you off of it. It's just a tough bet sidewise because the number's so high, and the home team's favored. So I tend to stay away from run lines on that. But
One more
guys,
point about that. Norris is a wild card. I've seen Daniel Norris for the Tigers pitch really well, and I've seen him get absolutely rocked. So which Daniel Norris shows up tonight for Detroit is going to go a long way to whether this game goes over the total or stays under the total. I think Soroka will do his part, keep Detroit neutralized. What do you get from Norris is going to be the key.
We got El Duque in the chat asking about the Champions League final here. Got a lot of people saying Liverpool. I've talked to just friends, a lot of bettors out there saying Liverpool's the side, but you are having to lay a pricey number there. Ian, I know you kind of like just know it a little bit here, not saying sharp by any means, but we got Liverpool minus 110 now. The three-way line, Tottenham as high as plus 350. The draw at 260 plus 275. I kind of like this draw, man. It's the final. It's the Super Bowl of soccer. Both teams coming out defensive soccer plus 260. Do what you will. I'm no soccer expert by any means, but definitely watch it. It will be a fun one to watch. I kind of like the draw. How do you feel about Liverpool versus Tottenham?
Just on the top, I actually have tried watching more soccer than normal. Everyone labels me as a soccer hater, and I don't like it. Well, I actually have tempered my thoughts on soccer. I mean, I'll watch from time to time. I'll try to give it a chance. I'll watch this. It's the UEFA Champions League final. It is a big event. It's a big match. We know it's an all Premier League final. I know these two teams both play domestically in England, obviously, Tottenham, Spurs, and Liverpool. So very fascinating dynamic there with that. So the two teams, familiarity, they should know each other. I do like that Liverpool manager there, Jurgen Klopp. I think he's a character. I think he's fun to watch when he's doing press conferences. Some of his mannerisms on the side on the sideline there during games. So that's kind of fun to see him operate as the manager of this group. To me, both teams to score, maybe something to look. I don't know what the price is on that, but let me double check that right now because I'll bring that these lines up right now. You're right. I mean, Liverpool's minus 110 on the three-way line. Both teams to score is minus 135 in that range. I see at Bet365 it's minus 135. I could see that. Usually in these UEFA Champions League final games, you usually get both teams getting on the scoreboard. And let's not forget, too, when one team goes down 1-0, and that first goal goes in, the other team's got to open up. It's the final. There's can't leave anything can't leave any ammunition in the holster, so to speak. You got to, go after it if you're fall behind in this match. So I think if a team that goes down 1-0, they're going to try to push the attack, get that equalizer. So that's the one that stuck out to me. Maybe I look at both teams to score here for a fun bet. Minus 135. Of course, this is someone that doesn't handicap soccer, only watches it here and there. But just in my opinion, both teams to score is something I might be interested in.
It's the Champions League final. It's a Super Bowl from soccer, from guys that bet soccer have said. So everybody's allowed to have an opinion, Ian. Ski, you got anything here? Liverpool, Tottenham, Champions League final?
No, I don't have anything on soccer. I don't cap soccer. I mean, I do enjoy watching it, but I'm not very knowledgeable, so I'll just leave it to you guys.
Fair enough. It sounds like Ian's liking both teams to score.
I do know Harry Kane's a good player for Tottenham. Is he playing? I mean, I've seen this guy injured a lot and sitting up in the stands a lot during games, and I assume he's playing, but I know he's a really good player for Tottenham. Liverpool's got lots of firepower, so I don't worry about them not having guys that are capable of finding the back of the net. So both teams, I'm going to go ahead. Both teams to score, minus 135 is what I see. So I think that's a good price. I think you can get both teams on the scoreboard. I don't think that's asking too much.
Okay. And there's guys in the chat box that likely know more about it than us, saying they were leaning draw, but Tottenham literally never draws, talking about how good Liverpool is. A lot of firepower, vastly more talented. But on the other hand, Tottenham's, they find themselves in the finals, so I'm sure that they have some some talent themselves. But guys, we got to move on to best bets here and shut down the show. So feel free to throw out anything you want to as far as things you might have missed, and best bets as well, which have been good. Don't have the percentages in front of me. We'll have them for tomorrow. Got to calculate how they finished last Sunday. I believe we went 1-2 with Ski Profit being the one that won. Could be wrong on that, however. But Ski Profit, at Ski Profit on Twitter, man. What do you got for best bets for the show, bud?
Man, I know I'm usually NBA guy. Can I do a different sport?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna go. The reason I don't want to go NBA is because it's tomorrow. We have more time, and like I said, I need more time in WNBA. So for best bets, I'm gonna go to the Kansas City and Texas game. I'm gonna go over the total. I'm gonna count on Homer Bailey. I'm gonna count both bullpens. I'm gonna count on Texas hitting very well, and I'm gonna expect for that total to go over 10.5. Another thing to look at when Pinnacle is leading the way in a line move, like it's 10.5 everywhere else, but I see 11 at Pinnacle. That lets me know that that may be the play for the over as well. So that supports it as well. I'm on over 10.5 as my best bet.
Okay, following the sharper book in Pinnacle as well, point in that direction. Ski Profit on Kansas City, Texas, over 10.5 in MLB. We got Ian Cameron at Babano on Twitter. What do you got for best bets, bud?
Best bet. Actually, you know what? We're gonna talk about a game. I was going to actually go with Kansas City, Texas over 2. I'm going to switch it up, though. I'm going to go Milwaukee on the run line. We haven't talked about this game yet. Milwaukee on the run line, which is about currently -125 to -130. We've got Woodrum against Kingham. Again, with run lines, I like the road team on the run line more than the home team. You get that extra at bat. In the 9th inning. You don't have to worry about that. Woodruff's been excellent. Woodruff has been absolutely terrific for the Brewers. Kingham is not. This Kingham kid for Pittsburgh is terrible. He is so brutal. He's been just hit around, start in, start out. I like the spot, too, for Milwaukee. They got thrashed by Pittsburgh last night in the series opener. They didn't get a good start from Chassin. I think Woodruff, who's been lights out for them lately, comes in there. And has a good start. Let's not forget, Brandon Woodruff's a good hitting pitcher as well. He can handle the bat, Woodruff. He can hit for a pitcher. So something to keep in mind here. I don't like Kingham at all. Milwaukee's best relievers are fresh and rested. None of them worked last night because they were behind 7-4, 9-4 most of that game. So all their best relievers, including the ultra weapon, Josh Hader, out of that Milwaukee bullpen, is rested and ready to go. So I think Milwaukee bounce back spot. They've got the massive pitching edge. They've still got, to me, the better offense top to bottom than Pittsburgh. Better bullpen top to bottom than Pittsburgh. Good bounce back spot. We'll lay the $1.25, $1.30 on the run line. Let's see what the best price is out there. I see a -128 at Heritage with Milwaukee, -1.5 runs. Brewers on the run line. We'll go with that for best bet.
All right, good stuff. Brewers run line -128 is the best number, right, Ian?
Yes, -128 okay. Heritage, yep.
-128, Milwaukee -1.5. And guys, please smash the like button on your way out. It does help us out. And we'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Ski Profit, Ian Cameron, and myself, 11 a.m. Eastern, breaking down the NBA games more. My best bet is the Toronto-Colorado Rockies game. Colorado taking money now, seeing it low number as -149. Got to lay it here, lay the wood, but there is a reason Colorado lineup don't want to step in front of them. I think they get to Stroman early and have a lot of success putting up a lot of crooked numbers there in Colorado, a mile high. So that's a night game, Toronto, Colorado. I'm on Colorado -149 for best bets. So we got Ian Cameron on Twitter at Babano, Ski Profit at Ski Profit on Twitter, and at Drew Martin Bets on Twitter. Guys, thanks very much for joining us. Please smash the like button. And in conclusion here, we got Kansas City, Texas, over 10.5 for Ski Profit. Ian, Milwaukee, -1.5 on the run line, -128. And I am on Colorado, -149 for best bets. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Best of luck with your bets.
Good luck, everybody. See you tomorrow.